You know what? I'm done. I really gotta deal with this with Mel Gibson now too. Why is it that as soon as I vouch for someone in Hollywood, as soon as I say that they've never given me a reason to doubt them, as soon as I say they've never missed, what happens? Of course, they miss.
Why do these things always happen to me?
Listen, I believe that Mel Gibson is still a good director overall, but he literally took my words from my previous video and shoved them right down my throat with Flight Risk. And this is how you know that I'm being brutally honest, because I am literally sitting here eating my own words. And to answer the question that I posed in that previous video, no, Mel Gibson can't save Hollywood if he's going to be making movies like Flight Risk. This movie defeated me, and the worst part is I really wasn't even expecting all that much out of it. I thought at best, it'll maybe fit nicely in the guilty pleasure category, but no. It'll actually fit even better in the I hope I never have to watch this piece of shit again category. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Come on. Do it. Do it!
Flight Risk follows a U.S. Marshal who boards a small plane to transfer a government witness to New York. As they cross the Alaskan wilderness, tensions start to rise, as not everyone on the flight is who they appear to be. Now, the synopsis does sound a bit vague, but if you watch the trailer for this movie, then you know exactly what it's about already. Going into Flight Risk, I was saying to myself, well, the trailer didn't really make anything stand out about this movie, or make it feel special. But Mel Gibson is the director, and I have very high regard for his directing abilities, so I thought at the very least, I'll get something out of it. Well, now having seen it, it turns out that I got absolutely nothing out of this movie. In fact, it was so awkward, so clunky, so poorly put together that I couldn't help but wonder if Mel Gibson did in fact direct it. I mean, is it possible that some hack directed this movie and they just slapped Mel Gibson's name on it? Or did Mel Gibson owe somebody a favor? I cannot imagine Mel Gibson reading a script like this and saying to himself, you know what, yeah, let's do this. The thing is that the concept could have actually been a lot of fun. But the script almost completely fails this movie.
This is whack! I can't get jiggy with this shit!
Now, I know there's going to be some people out there who enjoyed this movie and even find some entertainment value in it. And I guess if I looked at things only on the surface level, I could probably find some enjoyment in it too. But that's not my job, is it? My job is to be honest from a critical perspective. And from a critical perspective, from a filmmaking perspective, this is easily one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And no, I do not mean that as a compliment. This movie is kind of being sold on the idea of Mark Wahlberg going over to the dark side after spending what seems like decades playing the same everyman character in every single movie he's in. And now after seeing Flight Risk, I think I understand why he plays the same character a lot. Because the acting on display in this movie is quite atrocious. The funny thing is that early in the movie, when he's still hiding his true identity, he's basically playing everyday pilot Mark Wahlberg, and the role suits him very well.
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe yourself.
His charm oftentimes can make up for a lot of the shortcomings he has as an actor overall. But when the flip happens and he reveals his true self, the character he is playing is almost indescribable. Picture a balding, horny hitman that Mark Wahlberg is playing way over the top. Now, sometimes over-the-top acting works for more psychotic characters. I mean, Jack Nicholson made a living doing just that, and he was the best at it. With Mark Wahlberg in this role, I could not tell if he was supposed to be funny or scary. And the worst part is that he was neither of those things. Some of his lines and the way that they are delivered were so cringe-inducing when you hear them. So unnatural that it's almost hard to believe that a living, breathing human being wrote them and and perform them in order to make this movie. Plus, I don't know whose decision it was to give him the bald cap look, but that decision should have been left on the cutting room floor because it has no business in the final film. It looks ridiculous.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
And then you have Topher Grace, who on top of more awful dialogue and forced comedy, is doing what I can only describe as a really terrible Ryan Reynolds impression. You could tell that his character was written to be somewhat witty and fast with the one-liners, but the way that it's delivered is neither entertaining nor believable. And then you have the lead of this film, played by Michelle Dockery. Now, I knew that I recognized her, but I couldn't really place it, and I actually looked into her filmography to see what else she played in, and it turns out she did a lot of TV roles, but it also just so happens that she was in Boy Kills World, easily one of my most hated movies of 2024. So needless to say, I don't have an interest in following much of her career after this, at least in movies.
No, don't like that.
The funny thing is there's really only 3 people in this movie, and somehow all 3 of them give terrible performances. They try to shoehorn some backstory in when they give her this lazy exposition dump that is supposed to explain why she's so cold, but all it really did was solidify her status as the cliche female cop character that we know she is very early in the film. So while I'm watching this debacle unfold from a dialogue and acting perspective, I thought to myself, well, at the very least, the situation being presented in the film should offer a decent amount of tension. But honestly, we've seen the non-pilot forced into being a pilot shtick before, and we've seen it done a lot better. I mean, they have the added wrinkle of the psychotic hitman on board as well in this movie, but that couldn't rescue this movie from being almost completely devoid of anything that would make me remotely give a shit about what's going on. This film amounts to the lead character being an awful cop, Mark Wahlberg being an awful psychotic killer, and Topher Grace just saying things and being annoying in the background. They also try to build this subplot about corruption and dirty cops going on down on the ground as things are slowly revealed up in the air. But you don't really care because they're literally talking about people that we don't see in the movie, and thus we have no connection to them. I understand why they did it. They clearly wanted to stretch this paper-thin plot out as much as possible, but you can't help but feel like there were a lot better ways to do that narratively. Even the climactic shootout of the film, if you can call it that, involves a flare gun and really piss-poor shooting, and the way that it's shot and presented makes it come off like more of a cartoon than a legitimate life-or-death situation. Bottom line, if you think I'm being hard on this movie, I am. Because put quite simply, I expect better from Mel Gibson as a director. I expect Mel Gibson to have the foresight and talent to see a script like this and head in the other direction.
My luck's changing for the better every day.
This movie was almost a complete waste of time, and that's saying something considering the best part about it is that it's only an hour and 30 minutes. It's just one of those movies that tries way too hard to be entertaining, and the final product as a result is this tonally awkward thing that has no idea what type of movie it actually wants to be. Flight Risk is a rare miss from Mel Gibson as a director, and it couldn't come at a worse time for me personally as a content creator. This movie, put quite simply, is a bad joke in every sense of the word, and that's exactly why I'm going to give it the disgusted Ian Malcolm.
That is one big pile of shit.
Y'all be cool. Right on.